Today we're going to touch on 5 reasons your jab is not landing as much as it should be. I want to thank the sponsor of this episode, X-Martial, for supporting my fight career and supporting the channel. Link down below where you can save 10% on awesome gear just like this. Now, we are talking about how to make the jab land more, and most likely 5 common mistakes that you are making which are hindering your ability to land the jab. Because people say all the time it's the most important punch in fight sports, whether it be boxing or any other fight sport really, because it does so much for you. It sets up things, it controls distance, there are so many elements. So what mistakes might you be making? Well, the very first one, you don't have to land the jab every time you throw it. And if you're a beginner, you're probably thinking, okay, every time I have to throw it out there, I'm trying to touch them. So much focus on trying to touch them. But no, a big element of the jab is that distance. And to create that distance, you don't always need to be making contact. You want to be making them think. You flick it out and you make them think about it. Now, what does that allow you to do from there? Well, if you get them to fake and react, now you can come forward and land the second one. Or you can have them flicking out, they start to get comfortable with that jab, and then you hit them. It's that, am I gonna hit you or am I not gonna hit you mentality. Instead of every time you go to punch, they're going, yep, he's trying to take my head off. There's a big difference, and you're much better off not trying to land every single time. The next element which can really hinder your jab is forgetting about your footwork. Many people end up kind of moving into range and trying to throw. They're mostly focused on, okay, I'm gonna use this when I get to that ideal distance. But what we wanna do with the jab is we wanna be able to spring in and make sure that we are surprising the person from a pretty long distance away. Don't forget your footwork. And even, yes, we move in, but the out or the angle after is just as important, because it only takes one time that you do this awesome move in and then you start getting battered up by counters. You're like, nah, I don't want to do that again. So you get that footwork on point. You make sure you practice not always just what your hands are doing, but that spring in and out. Super important to get down. The next thing which is going to inhibit you from landing your jab as frequently as you want is just running into somebody else's jab. Right? If I'm standing here and I'm waiting for this guy to just step forward and throw his jab, and I just do the exact same thing every time he moves in, boom, I just hit him, boom, I hit him. Well, he's not gonna get any success off that. How do we go about countering or avoiding the straight jab? Well, we have to either be able to jab with our head off the center line, one of the two, it doesn't matter. Obviously this direction is much safer than going with that inverted jab, but you can go to the outside if you like it. You can, in addition, get them to pump their jab out before you actually move by faking and then going. That'll work. You can get them as they rechamber their jab. It's not a bad option at any point to just flash that fake in there and then follow up with whatever you were planning on doing anyway. Or if you're good at it, you can get your parry off as you jab. So as they jab, you throw yours at the same time. I come forward, instead of just going, oh, it's just me on the attack, I either parry beforehand or I hit and I parry at the same time. That works as well. Now, when we're thinking about a jab, we're often taught lead with the jab. It's the first thing that happens. So we always think, okay, we have to go first, and then we can come with other shots after, but we can also use other shots out of range to set up the jab. That's a fantastic way to make yourself land more with this awesome punch. How might I do that? Well, maybe I'm out of range, but instead of thinking, okay, I have to close the distance on this, I give them something to think about, and then I spring in with my jab, which is actually going to be the shot that I plan to land with. Or I start giving them big, wide sort of hooks, and then I come down the middle. Alternatively, if we're doing a fight sport with legs, I can do something like switch, but next time switch, and now I'm at my jab, which again, I can follow up on after. Utilizing those starting techniques which lead to the jab is a great way to utilize this punch as well. The last jab tip that I want to give you today is to change up your footwork. And very often we just think, okay, we're throwing a jab, basic punch, so we're going to come with basic footwork. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it unless you're not being successful. Then we might want to look at alternative options. So what are some alternative footwork options which we can utilize, and why are they going to help me? Well, the very first thing is, instead of stepping straight in where my body's square on that center line and I have to think, okay, maybe I'm going to drop my head to the side as I throw my jab so I don't get jabbed myself, maybe I step slightly off the center line. I can come to this side, or I can come out to the other side. Those are both fine options. Yes, they're going to put you in a different stance than is ideal, but then from there I can follow up and cut my angle, or if I come to this side, I can step around and cut an angle to that opposite direction. Alternatively, I can do things like switch my feet as I jab. I can be on the outside, switch my feet, but don't stay square. I switch my feet and I move. So if I'm in front of you, I'm bouncing around, you're thinking I'm gonna come straight on this center line, boom, I'm over here, and now I still have the same hand, which technically, I suppose, kind of turns into a cross because I've moved my feet, but everybody calls it a jab still, just like a switch jab. Bouncing around, I either come here, or here, or here, and now I have something else on an odd angle, which I can follow up with. And again, it's so much harder for people to just see that regular footwork and go, stop, stop. No, now they throw the jab and you're already way off the line just because of that alternative footwork. If you play around with these 5 things, you will have more success landing that lead straight punch. Play around with it, have fun, and I will see you back here soon for another video.